What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. This is the Fantasy Football Fanatics podcast, the official podcast of thefantasyfootballfanatics.com. It is Friday, December 8th, and I'm your host, Griffin Palmer, joined by CJ the Hitman Hickman. As you just heard, CJ's back. What's up, CJ?
Hey, man, you got the date right.
I did.
Yeah, I got the right month.
I don't know why I said November last time, but we got it.
You wish we had another month of football. That's why.
Well, there is definitely that, but at least the shows are numbered and the dates are on the actual release of the show. So my idiocracy at least is covered up by good bookkeeping. I don't know. And of course, then there's Jason Cabrera. Hi, Jason.
What's up? What's up? First week of playoffs.
Oh man,
playoffs.
This is when this is for all the marbles, boys, and ladies out there, I guess. But
all the chickens.
Yeah, this is a time where
very stressful.
We talked quite a bit on our Patreon shows all about prepping for the playoffs. So if you guys want to hear that, highly recommend it. Good show. Head over to patreon.com/thefantasyfootballfanatics, where you can get a lot of bonus perks, including bonus episodes every single week. Shameless plug. And just make sure you guys subscribe wherever you are. And don't forget, guys, we're here to answer your questions and try and help you with your lineup disputes and league manager problems, all that stuff. All season long, off season, whatever. Submit your questions. The easiest way is on Twitter at the FF Fanatics. You get a lot of updates, bonus updates throughout the week, news of injuries. CJ does a Periscope via Twitter, so you can find most of that straight through the FF Fanatics, at the FF Fanatics. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/thefantasyfootballfanatics. Basically, anywhere you go, just search for The Fantasy Football Fanatics, and you'll probably find us. We also take email questions at thefantasyfootballfanatics@gmail.com. So with that, let's move into our warm-up of the day, which is, guys, Thursday Night Football happened last night. Was a pretty good game. Do you have any major takeaways from that game, besides, of course, Alvin Kamara very effectively sinking a lot of people's potential week one of their fantasy playoffs? You're probably really hoping you had a first-round bye at this point because he got knocked out early. What do you guys think?
I mean, that is the topic. I mean, this is a guy that has been scoring week-winning fantasy points for at least 5 or 6 weeks ever since he's been in the lineup. And just to see him go down, I think it was the first drive of the Saints?
It was the very first drive.
Your very first drive, and then your mouth, your heart drops, and then the confidence you had going into this week, just having him in there, and then now you're just like, what the bleep? What am I supposed to do now? And you're just hoping that the rest of your lineup can help you through this week, because next week I do expect him to be back, and I think he's going to go back to doing what he does and being good for you. But you're just hoping, prayers up. Whatever you need to do, whatever superstitions you do, get into that because you're going to need it a lot this week.
This is a guy who has gotten you double-digit fantasy points since week 3. There was one week in week 6 with the Lions where he didn't score a touchdown, so he actually got you just under double digits, but he got you 75 yards. That's a good floor for a guy you were starting as a flex option at that point. So, he had all of 25 yards receiving and 2 yards rushing, so that's less than ideal. I will say I don't have any stock of Alvin Kamara, but I am playing in a game against him, so silver lining.
So you're happy.
Very happy.
I'm not happy that somebody got hurt. I'm just happy about the way the week's going for me fantasy points wise. No, I said I'm not happy someone got hurt. Another takeaway
you're not CJ. CJ'd be laughing right now.
We all hear that little giggle. He's got a new microphone, so he's much louder now.
There's no giggle. There's no giggles. Tears coming down my face.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Not in this case.
Another thing I just wanted to bring up is how dumb is the offensive runoffs? I mean, the Saints had a procedural penalty, and it cost, it ended up being from a really exciting turn of events at the end of the first half to nothing happening because they ran clock and the half ended. It happens all the time. And on one hand, I get it, but on the other hand, I'm just like, come on, guys. Come on. Let them play. I don't know. That irks me. Maybe it's the fantasy player in me because I want those extra points, but I don't know. The runoffs, there's a time and a place for them, but stupid little things like that, like, the guy didn't line up quite right, so we threw a flag, and now the half's over, so nobody scores. That just, it's tedious. It's a little tedious.
They're pros, man. They're pros. They got to play right. They got to play right. They got to play right the entire game. It can't be, just because it's near the end of the game, it can't be like, we'll let that go. No, they're going to go the whole time,
Yeah, that's...
Hey.
Can't argue it.
What got me was the fact that Ingram, you would have thought with with Kamara going down, that Ingram was going to get a lot of yardage and a lot of touchdowns, and that just really didn't happen. I mean, he had a decent average, but it wasn't as much running as I thought was going to happen.
No, I mean, he's not used to being a workhorse. They're used to being kind of this 50-50 timeshare, and even though he was in for like the whole game, he only got 49 yards rushing, and it was 43 receiving, I think it was. He
something like that.
He didn't break double-digit fantasy points, so a big letdown. But I mean, this is divisional football. That's what happens towards the end. It's the reason why people ask us a lot. What do you do for the fantasy playoffs? You have all these upside sleepers, and this is the time of year where we really stay. You should you should stay with your studs because in these tougher matchups, they're the ones that usually shine. Of course, there's a time and place for everything, but here we had two superstar running backs, Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara, and they combined for just over, 11 points, 12 points. So it's not good, and it's a bad week for it to happen. And this is just the beginning of Week 14, mind you. The league schedules these things, so it's a lot of divisional games at the beginning of the year, a lot towards the end. So this is going to be the norm for the next 3 weeks of your fantasy playoffs. So plan appropriately. I mean, there's going to be a lot of great football coming up. I love a lot of the matchups this weekend. Not a lot of great fantasy matchups, but a lot of good real-life football matchups. So
it's that Thursday game, man. It's just me personally. I do not like Thursday games. I like watching them, but for fantasy-wise, it's just too unpredictable, and it showed its ugly head today.
I think you should only play on Thursday Night Football if you had like a bye week the week before, like. Both teams there. That's the only way it makes sense to me because, we all agree.
You couldn't have Thursday Night Football at the beginning or the end of the year, though. That's the problem.
Okay. I mean, I'd be okay with it for it to be better for player safety and quality of what we're watching. I mean, everybody wants more football.
You'd be okay with it, but the NFL wouldn't be okay.
I know. But again, that's the problem. People want more on the TV. They want more to watch, but it's not always a good product. So, it's just my little idea that I'm throwing out there. With that, I guess we will move on to our top headlines from around the league. And this is something I'm curious how CJ feels about this. The Cleveland Browns have released general manager Sashi Brown.
Good for the Cleveland Browns. Look at them.
You like this move?
I mean, after 2 seasons, forgive me for that. After decades of foolishness from this organization, they finally starting to see, look, we've been effing up a lot, and we need to rectify this right now. So let's we see an opportunity. Well, we're gonna get into it. Who's going to be the replacement? But the pickup they got to replace him, he's a good pick. I like what he's been doing with the organization that he's with. But Sashi Brown and these Browns, man, you gotta go. You gotta go, man. I mean, look, you pass up. I appreciate you passing up on Carson Wentz, but as a Cleveland Browns fan, I want to wring your neck because I see this guy out here balling out with the Eagles when he could be balling out for the Cleveland Browns right now, and got him going on with Josh Gordon and Isaiah Correll. Just having a franchise quarterback there could open up so much for the Cleveland Browns, but they've continued to pass on it year after year after year. And then the talent that they did have there, they ran them out of town because they refused to build this team the right way. And then coaches that come in there and have any type of potential, they have no backing, no support, and the slightest hiccup of a 7-9 or a 6-9 whatever record, and they get rid of them just like that. No backing, no support, no consistency. So this is what this organization has been doing, but nothing but foolishness and crap.
Yeah. Well, he's been with the team, like you said, forever in various roles, and the general manager for the last year and 3 quarters. So going in a different way. In the interim, actually not even in the interim, he's the guy. They have hired former Kansas City Chiefs general manager John Dorsey as their new general manager. Do you guys like this move?
I do like the move.
Yeah. That's a good move. I'll say this about Sashi Brown. As far as was this a good move for Cleveland, I think time will tell, because DeShone Kizer is the guy that you got to look at to see, was this a good move? Did they get rid of Sashi at the right time? Because I got to be honest with you, their offseason was actually very, very good. They put together a lot of talent. They upgraded their offensive line. They had a great offseason, and that's the general manager's job. But the problem is that it may be too little, too late. You know, like we said, this guy's been around for a decade, and the front office has been just a dumpster fire for a decade. You know, so I get the move. I'm a little weirded out by the fact that they only gave him a year and a half. And again, he had a very good offseason.
He had longer. He had longer than a year and a half, Jason. This is the GM. He had longer than that.
As the GM?
Yeah, he's had longer than that.
No, as the GM, he started in 2016. So,
before
that, he was, I forget what role he was. It'll come to me.
Was he like head of player development or something like that?
He was like an attorney for the team, if I remember.
I thought he'd just been with the organization for so long. I mean, he's had a voice there. So I'm just saying, like, you know, come on now.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. But just like I said, I mean, honestly, can you say he had a bad offseason? You know, I mean, you can't. He did. He had a good offseason.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he hasn't been with the team exclusively, but I mean, yeah, he's throughout his tenure in the NFL. But yeah, most recently, he's with the Jags, then back with the Browns, and he had general manager for the last 2 years. Moving on, now they have John Dorsey, which we all kind of liked, and we're kind of, I don't know. What were your guys? Because it's such a busy offseason. We're kind of going on a little side rant here, but I don't remember what your guys' thoughts were on John Dorsey when he got released from Kansas City.
We were confused. I remember that conversation because they were like, "Why in the world did they release John Dorsey?"
Okay, so I wasn't alone in that. That's right. I'm remembering it correctly. Okay. I didn't want to speak for you
that
guys.
was the conversation we had. We had a conversation going, this is stupid. This is a guy that's put all this talent on this team, has done a great job. They've been to the playoffs every dang year.
One of the winningest teams
in the world.
Yep, during his time.
You know, one of the winningest teams in the NFL. Why? You know, and so I think this is a great move for the Browns. They're getting a guy that has a proven track record. He's a very, very good general manager. I think this is going to be great for them.
I agree. And they have announced that they are sticking with head coach Hugh Jackson for one more year, so at least. So, yeah, well, we talked about the offseason was good, and then in the season, that's more of a head coach thing, and they have not been successful the last 2 years, so maybe it's a head coach thing. Who knows? But they are sticking with their guns and giving him at least one more year. So, that's news coming out of Cleveland. Let's go to the quarterback position, where the Detroit Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford practiced again on Thursday. He's dealing with a hand injury. This scares the crap out of me, to be honest, because if you guys look back to he got a hand injury on his throwing hand, which this is, last year, and the statistical trends pre and post him hurting that hand are drastic.
Yeah, I remember that.
So he went from having a really good season last year to a not even really startable season. So this looks to be more or less the same situation. So if I'm a Matthew Stafford owner, or if I own any Detroit Lions pass catchers, or really offensive players as a whole, I'm really concerned right now. You guys feel mostly the same way? Is there anyone you feel comfortable starting?
I mean, yeah, you got to be really cautious about this. But I mean, I would say the only, good thing about this is, it happened early. Well, it was like earlier in you guys' game, right? Where when he came out, was it what?
No, it was in the fourth quarter, if I remember correctly.
Oh, well, it's not. Well, at least they got an early start on recovery with this, and he's played with this before, this type of injury, so hopefully he can be able to have a better way of being able to handle this. If you want anything good hindsight, you saw Dak Prescott play with the same injury. What was it, that Redskin game? He still threw like a couple touchdowns after that. So you can't play scared right now. This is fantasy. If you have better options, I would say go with that. But if you got like a Marvin Jones, if you got a Golden Tate, you still got to play those guys. I think you got to do it just because those are your money tickers that got you here.
Like we said, Marvin Jones is a top 6 fantasy wide receiver right now in the season. So you got to stay in those flames. Then Golden Tate, I think, is the 23rd wide receiver on the season. So yeah, they're having good years, but this is pre him being Matthew Stafford getting hurt. So that's the concern. It is a fantastic matchup this week against the Buccaneers, who are giving up the most points to fantasy wide receivers, but it's concerning. Let's move on, though, and we'll talk about Tyrod Taylor, Buffalo Bills quarterback, of course. He has been spotted on the practice field as of Thursday. Of course, he's dealing with that knee injury. He was carted off the field last week. No official word yet as to his status for this week's games. We'll update you guys as we know more. Again, on Twitter, at the FF Fanatics is the best way to know. We do actives and actives leading up to game time on Sundays. I have to say, it's encouraging to me that he's practicing because we heard that this shouldn't be too severe. If he plays, I have much higher hopes for that entire Buffalo Bills offense. So no one wants to see Nathan Peterman again. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
Especially no one in that town wants to see Nathan Peterman again.
Yeah.
Look, as we've said this all year, every time we bring this up, that is their quarterback. He needs to be their quarterback. There's nobody else in town that has the skill set to be their starting quarterback. He's the guy. And they keep playing this game with him, and they need to stop. They need to just make him the starter, call him the starter, sign him to a contract, and move on.
I don't disagree with you, but I don't think this is something this team is willing to do for various reasons that they claim to have. So
unfortunately, I think you're right.
Yeah, so it is what it is. But well, it's too early to tell for sure. But of course, we'll update you as we know more. But if he does play, I add a lot more faith into even one of my starts of the week, which we'll talk about soon. Let's go to the running back position, where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers running back Doug Martin has officially cleared the league's concussion protocol. So he's back. Yay, right?
Right.
Right?
No.
Right?
Right.
No.
No.
I like him this week. I'm gonna be ballsy. I like him this week. I gotta say that. I like him.
You're not worried at all about Peyton Barber?
No, that's what I'm saying. I think because what he saw Barber do last week, balled out. He's been itching to have that. Jameis is back healthy. I've said if you could be able to hold on to him and wait till Jameis comes back, I think he'll be better as a back in Jameis in the system versus Ryan Fitzpatrick. So I think he's gonna ball out this week.
Yeah, I think at the very least.
Said, when he's
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say, as we've said in the past, when he's motivated, he's very, very good. Mm-hmm. And maybe Peyton Barber going off and scoring and running for 100 and some odd yards, maybe that'll motivate him. Maybe we'll see a motivated Doug Martin.
Amen.
Yeah, 102 yards on the ground, 41 through the air. Peyton Barber had a great week, but I've been getting some questions about this, and my general response has been that Doug Martin is concerning because I think that it is going to be more of a split than it's been in the past. I don't think it's going to be in Peyton Barber's favor. In fact, I think Peyton Barber is not startable, and I think Doug Martin's only startable in deeper leagues or as a flex running back. I wouldn't expect the moon from him because I don't know what kind of volume he's looking at. And of course, we will know more. And there's all the positive notes that you guys have already mentioned, so I'm not going to repeat all that. But it's a gamble, and it depends on how much of a gamble you want to take during your fantasy playoffs. So, roll with the punches and check for news updates. If you guys are following us on Twitter, we mentioned that Peyton Barber was getting the start, and everyone was expecting it to be, Charles Sims and Jaquiz Rogers or one of those guys, but it ended up being Peyton. So, if you got that news, you were pretty happy last week, but I'm not expecting the same thing this week. Let's move on, though, to Cincinnati, where Joe Mixon, of course, we're still talking running backs, he did not practice on Thursday. He is, of course, dealing with a concussion. What are you guys' thoughts here? What do you think? The prognosis. Wow, that's not the right word. Prognosis.
Concussions, it's tricky, and you know how the league is these days. I don't expect. I wouldn't mess around with him for right now. I mean, he didn't practice on Thursday. If I hear he practices today. If I heard that he practices today, then great. Then I'll be willing to maybe put him in there. But the thing is, Giovanni Bernard had a pretty decent game, and this isn't something that they're going to play around with, especially given that this guy is their future at the position. Yeah. So more than likely, I think they're going to be very cautious with him.
Yeah, I mean, coming off a Monday night game, I expect his turnaround to be a little bit later in the week, obviously. So monitor. I think we probably will know more as early as later today, Friday. So, just pay attention. And, of course, we will update you guys as we know more moving into and through the weekends. Let's move on to Arizona, where running back Adrian Peterson has yet to be spotted in practice as of Thursday. So, Jason, what's going on?
Yeah, same thing I said last show. I think they're going to be very careful with him as well. They're not going to push him in, especially given the fact that Kerwin Williams had a great game. I mean, he over 100 yards. They're just going to probably stay with Kerwin Williams. If Adrian does dress, I don't think he will start, and I don't think he'll get the lion's share of the carries. Again, they downplayed his injury last week, saying, "Oh, he'll be fine. He'll play. He's going to play." And then the last day was like, he's not going to play. So you have to be careful when dealing with Arians and those Cardinals. Like I said, Kerwin Williams played a great game, so I expect to see him dressed as the starter.
Well, I guess time will tell. What's your favorite expression with Bruce Arians? He does a lot of what?
He lies.
He lies.
Like a doormat.
Yes, he does. And speaking of Detroit weapons, Detroit Lions running back Amir Abdullah remained limited in practice as of Thursday, dealing with a neck injury. So we'll see if he actually suits up this week. Moving to the wide receiver position, Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver Antonio Brown. He did not practice as of Thursday. Of course, he's dealing with a toe injury. This is the same toe injury that he had going into last week's games. And, I mean, he still went off for 101 yards and a touchdown last week. So I'm not too concerned. I think this is just veteran treatment. They're just trying to rest him up before a big AFC North rivalry game on Sunday Night Football. So I'm not too worried about this as far as the injury holding him out.
Right.
Oakland Raiders wide receiver Amari Cooper missed practice on Thursday, dealing with an ankle injury and a concussion. But, of course, he has cleared the concussion protocol, so that's at least good news. So it looks like the Raiders are getting their two top wide receivers back, so that's good. And what should be a nice offensive shootout, if you ask me. I mean, Chiefs can't seem to stop anything, and the Raiders have been less than a stellar defense, so that's good news for fantasy. The New York Jets wide receiver Robbie Anderson did not finish practice on Thursday. He is dealing with a hamstring injury. This is super concerning because he has been hot fire.
The guy.
Yes.
Yeah, he's been the guy.
Yeah. Hamstring injuries, they linger. Leaving practice in the middle of the week is concerning. He reportedly should be ready for Week 14 versus the Denver Broncos, so that's good news. It seems precautionary, but it is scary. So monitor as we go forward. That's all I can say. Let's see. New York Giants wide receiver Sterling Shepard practiced on Thursday. He's dealing with a hamstring injury, so that's some good news there. Baltimore Ravens wide receiver Jeremy Maclin was downgraded to a did not participate on Thursday, dealing with a back injury. If you haven't dropped him already, you should. He is completely useless. Mike Wallace is the top target on this offense, and Jeremy Maclin's dropping balls that are going directly into his hands. So, yeah, he's been a big disappointment this year, and he should not be on your fantasy rosters. I'm going to go ahead and say that. I, in fact, dropped him on my way to the stadium to watch the game last Sunday and picked up Josh Gordon. I was very happy with that maneuver.
Well, that's why probably he didn't do so good. He hurt his feelings.
Well, I'm sorry, not sorry. And then this is something. The Cincinnati Bengals have placed rookie wide receiver John Ross, former first-round pick wide receiver John Ross, on injured reserve. So a less than stellar rookie season. Do you guys happen to know his 2017 season stat line off the top of your heads? Because I can give it to you.
I would say he's got at least 2 fumbles. I know that for sure.
Oh, boy.
Then he's got, as far as yardage, I'm going to say 36 yards.
You know, the sad thing is, I know that you were just lowballing numbers you didn't know, but you're pretty darn close. He had no receptions. He rushed the ball for 12 yards and then fumbled. So he finishes his rookie season, first-round pick season, with negative 0.8 points. So,
oh my God,
that's disappointing to say the least. So,
I don't think that's even the word at this point. This is the fastest man ever to go through the combine.
Yep,
that is just sad.
I wonder if it's the wrong team. I wonder if that's the thing.
Well, we sorry, go ahead.
I was about to say, because coming in, because I'm gonna be quick about this. Just when Cincinnati drafted him, it was like a what? Like when it came up, because he didn't come across the board at all going to the Bengals. So it was like they already had 2 good receivers right there, and them trying to replace him, get in there, and I think that's the hype around him getting in there. He was already kind of brittle, coming off of a shoulder injury and an ankle injury coming into the season. I think it was that or late ankle or knee, one of those two things. And so yeah, it was just tough. I wanted him to have a good comeback season, just because of overall talent, but maybe his body was just not built for the NFL just yet.
No.
I mean,
this is a team that also needed to invest in an offensive line and has yet to do that. Yeah. So I think he'll have a better year next year. I think he's a drastic upgrade over Brandon LaFell. We talked about that a lot coming into the year. But, of course, John Ross wasn't able to stay healthy. Tyler Eifert wasn't able to stay healthy. Those are two big losses on the offense. The Bengals have struggled this year, and a lot of that is, some key injuries. I mean, but who's not banged up at this point of the year? So, just saying, John Ross, disappointing rookie year. Hopefully, a better sophomore season next year for him. Let's move to the tight end position, where New England Patriots tight end Rob Gronkowski, he did appeal his one-game suspension, and thankfully, it was denied. They have to set a precedence because that was just blatant trying to hurt somebody.
Why did he even attempt to appeal that? I mean, come on.
I honestly,
you gotta try.
So obvious.
No. You
don't even
that.
Try that.
You gotta try.
You could have. You could have. You did something dirty.
No. You could have played it off look. I want to apologize the way it looked, but I did trip. And the full force of my body went into the back of his head.
Yeah, except for anyone who watches that clip in any speed, fast
all.
forward, slow speed, anything shows a blatant thought process. Like, okay, I watched my player touch him down. He's on his stomach, out of bounds, and he's starting to get up. Let me spear him in the back of the head. So
I got hit with a 2-second tranquilizer dart, and then I was fine after I got up.
No, this is players.
Even Aqib Talib. Even Aqib Talib would have gone, come on, man.
Give me that chain.
Well, this is player safety. This is setting a precedence, and this is just something that the NFL, can't stand. I know there's this whole big argument out there on should big hits still be in the game. I'm of the school where I'm all about hard hitting defense. I understand it's player safety, but things like this that are blatant trying to hurt somebody because you lost your composure on the field, that can't be allowed. And if you've come out and apologized for it, I think you accept that one game because, honestly, appealing it makes you look worse. So I'm glad that the suspension was upheld. I love Gronk as a fantasy player, but it's something I definitely lost some respect for him over. It was blatant. He was trying to hurt the guy. So he, it's bad timing for your fantasy playoffs, but, it is what it is. I have him in our big dynasty league, so now I have to replace him for 1 week, but luckily I have a first round bye. So just saying.
Good for you.
Let's see. Let's go to Philly, where tight end Zach Ertz returned to practice on Thursday. He was dealing with a concussion. He, I believe, has cleared the protocol. Is that correct, CJ?
Yeah, he's cleared the protocol to be able to practice, but he's still not fully out of it. They do expect him to be out, though, so I would say that he's still a good start for this Sunday.
Should be game ready. Washington Redskins tight end Jordan Reed will not play yet again this week on Week 14 against the Chargers.
Who saw that coming?
All the people who wrote in and said that this guy is a 4th-round pick.
Yeah.
This is why we said he wasn't. He's talented as crap, but he's never on the field. He's played, I don't have his stats in front of me, but if he's played more than 4 or 5 games this season, that feels like the right number. I'd be surprised.
Something like that.
Yeah. In full? Probably not even that. Let's see. Tennessee Titans tight end Delaney Walker remains sidelined at practice on Thursday, dealing with an ankle. I believe he is expected to play. We will update you as we know more. I've heard some conflicting reports. Have you guys heard anything concrete?
No, not yet. And I know this one Titans fan I talked to, but he hasn't said anything concrete to me either.
It's early in the week, so it's hard to get those things locked down. And then some other news. The Kansas City Chiefs are suspending cornerback Marcus Peters for the Sunday's game versus the Oakland Raiders. So
he walked off the field.
That was amazing.
What a moron.
That was amazing.
He just leaves. Out.
After he chucked the official's flag into the stands. So
that was amazing.
Yeah. And this is not the first time he's done something like this.
He was even shocked that they didn't eject him for that. He was like,
that had to be the top 10 plays of the year. That has to go down.
Well, this is a team that has a tied record with the Raiders. They are currently the 4th seed. Whichever team wins this game will become the new 4th seed. So, most likely because of the divisional. Of course, the Chargers are in there too, but I believe that based on division wins, they will take over, even if the Chargers win. So, it's suspending your best player on a defense which has been leaky to say the least is surprising, but I guess I understand it. So, this game's going to be even more high scoring, so that's kind of exciting. And then a bit of much more serious news. We didn't really talk about this on Tuesday's show because we didn't know the severity of it because it had just happened that night. But Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker Ryan Shazier, he got spiked on his head. Yeah. He just came down funny.
Took a wrong hit.
He landed really wrong. He ended up getting carted off the field. The severity of the injury has turned out to be incredibly severe. Neck and spinal injuries, where they were reporting that the first 24 to 48 hours of his recovery could dictate not just his career, but his quality of life going forward. Recent updates are showing that he has had surgery to stabilize his spine. But that's about all we know right now. And this is where real life transcends football and fantasy. Because I mean, look at me. I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan. There's no team I loathe more than the Pittsburgh Steelers. But this is now real life. This is a guy's livelihood, and legitimately, all of our thoughts and prayers go out to Ryan Shazier and his family, hoping for a speedy recovery. Because this is when it gets real. This is life altering. So yeah, we'll update as we know more, but hopefully a young up and coming defensive star in the league. Hopefully he can recover from this.
Absolutely.
And on that note, let's turn it around and start talking about our topic of the day. The reason you are all here, our Week 14 starts and sits. So,
playoffs. Let's do it.
Playoffs. So I guess we will do this as we always do. This is how we are known to go about this. And I guess that means I will kick it off at the quarterback position with my starts of the week, where I am starting Josh McCown. Now,
love it.
I know that this is a middle-of-the-road matchup statistically. It's not great. And he's on the road. But Josh McCown has been basically hot fire. It's already been announced that he will be the quarterback for the rest of the season. On the season, he is the quarterback, 8 or 9? I mean, he's come out of nowhere. And as long as Robbie Anderson plays, I think that he is a good streaming option. Now, I'm not saying start him over a lot of other guys out there. There's just really good players. You're elite quarterbacks who have good matchups. But, I mean, if you are in a streaming situation, this is a guy who I have a lot of faith in. I think the stats don't accurately reflect where the Broncos actually are as a defense. They have been leaky, to say the least, the last couple weeks. So I think Josh McCown will be able to get this done, especially if why am I going to say Austin Seferian-Jenkins? Wow. Robbie Anderson is able to play. So it's a deeper league thing, but it has my endorsement. CJ, I love this one.
You love mine? Listen, I know people are wondering, why is Griffin saying hot fire so much? Look, he just watched Dave Chappelle. It's Dylon. And that's what my guy is hot fire as well. I'm talking about Phillip Rivers. Ever since the Chargers has taken the ball out of Melvin Gordon's hand and goes you know what? Look, we need to get to the playoffs. How are we going to get there? We're going to get there through Phillip Rivers. And ever since then, Phillip Rivers has been game busters for you. Scoring over 20 points in the last 3 weeks, man. Look, and he's got the Redskins going up this week. The Redskins, they're not that good on defense. This team has been imploding. They have not been good at all. And my man, Phillip Rivers has been getting Keenan Allen involved, Hunter Henry, and Melvin Gordon in the passing game. I'm telling you to start this man because he is hot fire this week.
Woo!
A lot of hot fire going around. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so my guy, I'm going back to the well. Same thing I did last week. I'm going to say Alex Smith again.
Yeah.
The reason I'm going to say it is because these Chiefs, they like to end the season heavily. They like to score lots of points, and I think that he's going to have another big game. He's going to find his targets. He's going to score lots of points. So I like Alex Smith coming off a big game. Unfortunately, a loss, but in a big game this last week.
You know what? It's the playoffs. I'm going rogue, and in this matchup, I've said it enough times leading up to this point. I was going to put this guy as my start, but I didn't know if he was too much of an auto start or not, but I'm just going to come out and say it. If you have Derek Carr, he's available in your league. He is my true must start this week. He is by far my start of the week, but I thought he was kind of one of those auto guys. Opposite side of the ball, we talked about how the Chiefs are just not able to stop anything this year, especially as the season keeps going on. I think against the quarterbacks, they're giving up the 5th or most points, and this is a team that just chose to sit their best defensive back. So and this is a guy who's also getting his 2 top wide receivers back. At least he should be. So I really really like Derek Carr this week. I'm just putting that out there as kind of bonus content for you guys. Let's move to the running back position where I am starting LaShawn McCoy. Now, I preface this with something I was talking about earlier, where Tyrod Taylor plays. I think LaShawn gets a massive boost, but just simply on matchup alone, I really, really like him this week, and I think he has an opportunity to really go off. I mean, if Tyrod doesn't play, I think they're going to lean on him. If Tyrod does play, I think that he's going to obviously get a lot of volume still and then get more pass catching. He's going up against the Indianapolis Colts, which have been less than an elite defense as of late. So this is a guy that I'm really excited about. So I would feel comfortable starting LaShawn McCoy. I know he's kind of one of those auto starts, but he's been kind of hot or cold this year. So just putting that out there. And if you guys think that's too much, I'll throw out an extra one. I'll say Frank Gore on the opposite side. Frank Gore, the Bills are giving up the most points in the league to fantasy running backs. So this is just a good game for running backs statistically. CJ, your guy.
My guy balled out this week, and he's got the Miami Dolphins on Monday night. So this is what I'm saying. I'm saying this is a sneaky play just because my man Bill Belichick loves this dude. I'm talking about Rex Burkhead. Rex Burkhead balled out last week, man. And did I say that he has the Dolphins? I mean, the Dolphins that we've seen weeks after weeks put up terrible numbers on defense, except for when they played the Denver Broncos, of course. But, that's just straight garbage on the other side of the ball. But back to Rex Burkhead. He's money. You need somebody on the running back position, go pick you up Rex Burkhead.
Jason?
All right. So maybe I had too many spicy Cheetos or something today, and I always feel like I got to have one crazy start like I did Alex Smith last week. This week, my crazy start is Isaiah Crowell.
Whoa!
And the reason, I know, calm down, I'll get there. The reason I'm saying Isaiah Crowell is I have a funny, sneaking, weird little feeling that the Cleveland Browns are going to end their losing streak this week.
I was just going to say that with my next start. We're of one mind there, Jason.
We're there. We've been working together too long.
I think it's just gas.
I feel like this is a trap game for the Green Bay Packers. This is a trap. The Cleveland Browns look like they're not going to win. They look like they're not going to bother winning any games this year, but I have a feeling that this game against the Packers, they're going to wake up, and I think Isaiah Crowell is going to get the opportunity to score some points and get a lot of yards, and I think that this is a really sneaky little pick. So Isaiah Crowell, I say start him.
All right, let's move to the wide receiver position where same game, I am starting Josh Gordon. Now, everyone who knows me knows that I am a Baltimore Ravens fan. My NFC team, my second favorite team, my team that I rooted for until the Ravens came along was the Green Bay Packers, and they're definitely my NFC team, and they have a special place in my heart, and I think that this is a game, like you said, that they are going to lose. I think this is Cleveland's one true chance to get a win this year, and it is at home against a Green Bay Packers team, which still does not have Aaron Rodgers. They can't get him back until next week, and the Browns have been actually decent on defense, and their offense is kind of heating up a little bit. They might play inspired this week after a firing of their head office, and Josh Gordon was money in his first game back in, 2.5 years of playing. He went out, got 11 targets, and he had a pretty decent game. If he gets that amount of volume against a Packers defense, which gives up the fourth most points to fantasy wide receivers, I love Josh Gordon's upside this week. So he's a guy who I'm definitely starting. I mean, you could start him as a flex option. You could probably start him as a number 2 with pretty good comfort. So, Josh Gordon is my start of the week. CJ, your guy.
My guy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. I don't do that. This is my NFC team, my AFC team. I only have one team. And my team is the Philadelphia Eagles. And Nelson Aguilar has been balling his butt off these last couple of weeks. And Carson Wentz in that hostile territory in Seattle. He found this dude. And this dude put up numbers. And I see him doing it again with Zach Ertz coming back, but probably not going to be 100%, but he's still going to be back. He's still going to be available. The guy that they're going to look to take the top off of the defense and get the ball down the field is Nelson Aguilar. So I'm picking him this week, and you should too.
Yep. I like that kid. All right, so I had a different guy on here. I changed my mind at the last second.
Oh my gosh!
Because look,
this is the homer section.
No, I actually do really like this one.
You're darn right, and I'll tell you why. Because Larry Fitzgerald is going to be money against Tennessee. He is going to ball out. He is going to get lots and lots of yardage. The passes are going to go his way. Last week, he got 98 yards and a touchdown. He is going to eclipse that number and get himself a really nice game moving forward. Tennessee is not a good pass defending team this year. They're a top 10 matchup. I think that Larry Fitzgerald is going to take advantage of that, and he's going to burn them.
Burn them.
I agree.
Burn it down.
I mean, Larry Fitzgerald has had a sneaky good year this year.
Oh yeah.
He is
very quietly.
I think he's the wide receiver 11 on the season in standard scoring. So he had a very sneaky good season. With that, let's move on to the tight end position, where I am rolling with my quarterback start of the week, and I know he's had a less than exciting last couple weeks, but I think that Austin Severian Jenkins gets it going this week. Guys, it's simple math. The Denver Broncos, the New York Giants, these are just some teams that you always start tight ends against. And the Broncos just can't seem to stop the tight end. They're giving up the third most points. And if especially Robbie Anderson doesn't play, Austin Severian Jenkins stands to get a massive boost in targets. So I am starting him with confidence this week. I think that his floor is elevated, and I think he has a pretty decent chance of putting up a good high-ceiling game as well. So sneaky play right there. CJ, your guy.
Well, since you're going to do that, I'm going to double down too, man. Same game, but I'm going to the tight end position. I'm talking about my man Hunter Henry. I love this dude, especially now with the ball being back in Phillip Rivers' hand. He finds this dude, gets him the opportunities, and when it's time for red zone, Hunter Henry, he gets the knock. He gets the nod, and he gets the rock. Hunter Henry against the Redskins this week, good play.
How's that the same game? I was talking about Jets Broncos. You're talking about
the same game.
Yeah.
Didn't you? Did you not say earlier about Josh McCown going against Denver?
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's what I said with you. You did the double down. I doubled down with my game with Phillip Rivers and Redskins.
I got it. I get what you're going, CJ. I
got it.
Okay. Oh, okay. I see it now.
Yeah.
I'm glad one of us got it.
The way you flowed into it made it sound like you were sticking with my Jets Broncos game.
I don't want yours. I don't want yours.
I think there was some verbiage problems in there, some pronouns or something. I don't know. Jason, your guy.
The worst. Oh my goodness. The worst team defending the tight end in the league is the New York Giants, and they're playing their hated rival, the Dallas Cowboys, and Jason Witten. And I put Jason Witten in there. I think he's going to have a good game against these Giants. They're just all over the place right now in New York. They don't. I mean, it's a mess. It is a mess. So I think that Jason Witten is going to have himself a game.
Jason
I'm
Witten,
sorry,
man.
Jason, I'm sorry. I think you're going to eat crow this week, man. I got the Giants. They're going to rise up, man. They got rid of their coach, general managers. These kids are going to be balling out of their minds this week.
Alrighty.
I think we'll see. Remember the good old days where Jason Witten was one of those top 2, top 3 tight ends? You started him no matter what, but now he's ancient, but still a top 10 fantasy tight end. He's the number 1 tight end on the season.
1950s, yeah.
But that also is a testament to how bad, how bad the tight end position is. He is the number 10 tight end on the season in standard scoring, and that is with less than 500 yards, 437, and only 4 touchdowns. Man, the tight end position is bad this year. All right, with that, let's fire through our sits of the week, where I am sitting of the game that CJ was trying to refer to earlier, the quarterback of the Washington Redskins, Kirk Cousins. Guys, Kirk Cousins, he's been pretty good this year. He's been pretty good the last couple years. But now he's playing a Chargers defense, which is really good at shutting down the quarterback. They're giving up the 4th least points to fantasy quarterbacks. They're only giving up 12.7 points a game. That's not exciting for your fantasy playoffs. And also, Kirk Cousins is on the road, so this is a cross-country trip. None of this is exciting to me, so I am not starting him this week. If I have any other options, do not start him. CJ, you go.
I'm a very vengeful person, very salty person. So I'm going to say start Russell Wilson because that man was an absolute just cheat code waiting to happen for my Eagles last week. So and guess what? It's just so rightfully he deserves. He faces the Jaguars, Saxonville. They're going to lock Russell Wilson down. So that means you should not play him because it just doesn't work. You look at the statistics, man. They have shut down all these top offenses, and the offense of Seattle Seahawks is Russell Wilson. I see them shutting them down. So sit down, Russell Wilson, this week.
I completely agree. I was between Russell Wilson and Kirk Cousins, so I'm glad we got them both up here. Jason, your guy.
My guy, unfortunately, is Carson Wentz. I'm a Carson Wentz fan, but he is playing the Rams, and the Rams love to kill them some quarterbacks. So I have a feeling that it's going to go badly. I'm not saying that the Eagles will lose this game. I think it may be closer than what it appears it's going to be. But I believe that the Rams are going to stop Wentz from scoring a lot of points.
I agree. Which is an interesting kind of curveball into CJ's wide receiver start of the week.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when I was going to say this could be a fun little side bet. It's kind of like our Ben Roethlisberger bet, which I won, by the way. Was that a Patreon thing? I don't remember. From last week.
Yeah, I think it was.
How did you win? What did you win? What are you talking about?
Remember we bet that I said that Ben Roethlisberger would not be a top 6 quarterback last week, and I know CJ at least said yes he would, and I was right.
Yeah.
Because Ben Roethlisberger was on fire, but yeah, I was right. Anyway,
Fire.
wide receiver sits of the week. No, running back sits of the week. Let's not skip those. I am sitting Christian McCaffrey. Guys, Christian McCaffrey, I know he's been a good rookie. He's not exactly been everything that everyone hoped for, but a lot of that has also been, I think, where he landed and that offense as a whole. But this is not the week to bank on him. He's going up against the Minnesota Vikings, and I've made this argument for at least the last couple weeks. The Vikings are legit. They are by far one of the best complete defensive units in the league, and it's not just been for spurts. All season long, they have been good. This is going to be one of those games I was talking about before that is going to be a very good real-life football matchup. Two really good defenses all season long. Offensively, I think these teams are going to struggle, and I don't want a piece of the Carolina Panthers running game going up against the Minnesota Vikings, which are, by a decent margin, the toughest matchup for fantasy running backs. So I'm not doing it. Do not start Christian McCaffrey this week. CJ, your guy kind of makes me sad because I am starting him in our big league of record.
Well, I'm sorry, but your guy that you're going to be starting is so dependent on touchdowns. It's ridiculous. I mean, if he's basically like Kirk Cousins. If it's not a perfect situation, he's pointless to be a human being. And that's what DeMarco Murray is to me right now because he sucks. He sucks at football. He does. If it's not the perfect situation for DeMarco, he is useless for you. Hunter Henry is the guy. That's the dude. So listen, your playoffs depend on this move. Sit down, DeMarco Murray.
I don't know if it's that legit, but I can see
not even a human.
Maybe. Yeah, I think he's
not
human.
even a human to CJ.
Yeah. Jason, your guy.
All right, so my sit of the week is Carlos Hyde. The Houston Texans have not had a lot go right for them this year, but one of the things that have gone pretty right for them. Excuse me. One thing that has gone pretty right for them. There you go. I got it. Is their running defense. Carlos Hyde has not been very good recently anyway. And going in there against Houston, I think he's going to pretty much get completely shut down. So sit Carlos Hyde.
All right. Rapid fire. My wide receiver sitter of the week is Doug Baldwin for all the reasons that CJ said about Russell Wilson. Jacksonville is legit, and they are most legit at the pass game, specifically shutting it down. This game is in Jacksonville. Seattle is going cross-country into the Jags' house, where they are, by about 5-point margin, the best defense against fantasy wide receivers. I want no parts of this. I know Doug Baldwin is exciting. He can get you points in various aspects of the game. Don't care. Don't like it. Don't start him. Don't do it. I'm not starting Doug Baldwin this week. CJ, your guy.
My guy is Devin Funchess, man. He's going to be going against Xavier Rhodes, and Xavier Rhodes is one of the best corners in the NFL. And Xavier Rhodes is playing for one of the best defenses in the NFL. Listen, I got the Panthers winning this game. They're going to find a way. But I just think Funchess' production and his opportunities and points are going to be very slim. So that's why I say sit him this week.
Wow, that's going to be interesting. The Panthers beat the Vikings. I'm excited to watch the game. Jason, your guy.
Rashard Matthews is going to have a bad week because he's going to meet his brand new best friend, Patrick Peterson. He is not going anywhere without Patrick Peterson being all over him, so sit Rashard Matthews. Don't start him.
You're not concerned about the facts of Patrick Peterson not practicing because he's a little banged up?
No, I'm not. He'll play.
All right. There's the analysis.
Confident.
And our tight end sits of the week, opposite side of the field on the same game I was talking about earlier on. I am sitting Kyle Rudolph. Kyle Rudolph, if there's one thing the Panthers are most elite at, I mentioned they're a good defense. They are giving up the least points to fantasy tight ends. Obviously I don't want any parts of a Minnesota Vikings tight end going against the Panthers defense. Also, an offense which has been featuring the wide receivers a lot more recently than the tight end anyway. So Kyle Rudolph, a favorite for the last year or so, has had a rough season, and it's not going to probably be any better this week. So I am sitting him if I can. CJ, your guy.
My guy is Charles Clay. Listen, I saw the reports about Tyrod Taylor. Yes, it looks good. Yes, it can be awesome, but I'm still concerned because I feel like Nathan For You Peterman is still creeping around the corner like he's the clown, and he's going to ruin your fantasy day. So I'm saying stay away from Charles Clay this week.
I agree. I've actually sat Charles Clay in all the leagues I have him in because he's been garbage since he got back. He had 13 yards, 27 yards. He had an okay week against the Chiefs, which can't stop anybody. He got 60 yards and then 20 yards last week. So, I mean, until I see improvement, I don't know if he's still banged up or hobbled or if that knee's just simply not right or if it's Tyrod, the chemistry, the other tight ends. I don't know. The addition of Kelvin Benjamin, something is not the same as it was earlier in the season. So, yeah, I'm sitting Charles Clay. And that sucks because I was really excited about him being a late-season addition that could help people win leagues, but he's just not been the same player. Jason, take us home.
Vernon Davis hasn't done much recently. Thought he looked good for a couple of weeks. He just hasn't looked good. He's got a decent matchup this week, but you know what? I just don't feel good about him. Sit him down. He hasn't played well past couple of weeks.
I wouldn't even say it's decent. It's a tough matchup against tight ends, but yeah, I get what you're saying. All right, sure. So with that, let's get out of here. Please make sure you guys tune in on Tuesday when we will be talking about all of the studs and duds from Week 14. Hopefully not that many duds because hopefully a lot of you will advance in your playoffs. We'll, of course, also cover all the top waiver wire targets for Week 15, the rest of your season, and all the top headlines. So, yeah, tune in and make sure, as we've mentioned various times, make sure you guys give us a follow on Twitter at the FF Fanatics so we can give you guys these injury updates because you want to be as in the know, as prepared as possible as we move into these fantasy playoffs. It's win or go home, guys, so you want to make sure that you check all your bases and you are as prepared as you can be. And if you want to follow us individually as well, we're all on Twitter. I'm at GPalmerFFF. CJ is at CJ Hickman89, and Jason is at Jason Cabrera13. So with that, we're out of here. Any parting thoughts, guys?
Hey, man, I'm representing your boys in the Listener League. Your boy CJ, man, Bullet Club. Hey, guys, you know, our listeners, I know they're listening to the show. I appreciate you guys this year. Now, whoever wins between Desert Rats and Booty Snatchers, I'll be waiting for you in the next round.
CJ got the coveted first round bye. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, so we are out of here, everyone. Take care. Have a great week. We will see you on Tuesday, and hopefully you all make it through. We'll talk to you then. Bye.